Welcome CSE 121 W1 to exercise 6. This will be called Testscores Lettergrade, and we're going to build on our previous test scores that we used a while loop, and we're going to apply a letter grade that will require conditional statements. So we're going to use more if, elif, else statements. So let's get into it. I'm going to open up my previous 5b, the last one I did with the while loop. We could use that one. And that one actually used a conditional statement, so that'll help us a little bit. And we're going to fork it, so we're going to use our existing code so that we can keep building on it. And I'm going to go over here to my drop down and the 3 dots and fork it. And I'm just going to call it 6. I don't think we need a 6a or b or anything. I think we could do this all in 6. And I'll just call it letgrade and I'll leave my initials on there and I'll fork it. All right, and we're ready to go. So I'm going to close this up over here so we can just see the code. I'll move this a little bit closer so we're right there. And what we're going to do is use our conditional statement on the output to provide a letter grade. So right now it's providing basically you earned a score for this many assignments. And actually, let's look at this last. I say print statement, and actually one of the quiz questions, this is really an expression that's here, not a statement. This is I call it a print statement, but it's actually an expression because and we're adding together strings and variables. So it says you earned a score for this many assignments. And what we'll do is just add to it, and I'll just put which is a. Now it could be an A or a B, so it could be A or N. So I think for right now, and I think I can do a line break here. I think that'll be okay. Or sometimes it doesn't like when you break it yourself. So let me just shorten it like that and let the wrapping actually break it. So I'm going to put this, and which is A, and I'll put a space and I'll put a curly brace, and I'll just put letgrade. We'll call it letgrade, and we could call it LG. Now I'll continue my curly brace around it. And we still have red curly lines under there because it's undefined. We haven't defined it. Now, what is letter grade going to be? And where are we going to define it? Is it going to be part of our input here? Not really, because we're actually going to take the score from it. So this basically generates a score from everything. So it's going to be after we get our score, because it's going to be in between the score and outputting the score. So after we get the score, we're going to basically say if score equals something something. So we're going to do a whole bunch of conditional statements down here. So we'll do it right after here. So I'll bring this up so we're not wasting so much space. So we only have an extra space in here. And you could even put a little extra area here. I'll just put # letter grade, and then we'll start it. And we're going to use something called if and elif and else. And we'll talk more about it, but basically elif are basically all the other kind of choices in between until you get to the else. So elif is just another condition. So for example, we're going to have a whole bunch of conditions because we're going to have an A B plus, a B, a C plus, and so on. We won't have any minus grades. We'll just have plus grades. So let's just put them up here just so we know. We're going to have an A and a B plus, and a B and a C plus. We'll just see how many we have, just so we know what we're doing when we do this. So we'll have a C and then no D plus. We'll just have a D, and then we'll have an F. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 different conditions we're going to have here. So we're going to use our percentages that we use here at Warren. So we're going to start off by saying if, and we're going to write if score, because that's our variable that we're going to have from there. And again, we're going to test equality. So we're not going to use equals. We're going to use equals equals. So we're going to say if score equals equals, and actually it's not equals equals. It's going to be, because it would have to be equal something. So if score is, now think, what's an A going to be? It's going to be 90 or greater. So we're going to do greater than or equals to 90 and higher. So if score is greater than or equals to 90, that's our condition, then what's going to happen? Then we're going to have a variable down here. We called it letgrade already. We didn't declare it yet, but now we're going to declare it. We'll make sure we use it the same name. We'll say letgrade equals, and we are going to use the assignment variable here because now we're giving letgrade a value, and we're going to say equals a. And we can't just do this because that's a variable. We have to make it a string. So we're going to do like that. So we'll do a. So that's the first one. So if the score is 90, letgrade will equal a, and then it should output a here. Now we can also do something that determines if it's going to say n or a. And right now that doesn't matter. Let's do this first. So that's the first part. Now the second line here, we're going to go back out to the margin for the elif. This is going to be elif. Okay, a quick timeout here. I just wanted to point out, as I was editing the video, I just wanted to point this out. If you didn't do anything else with this if statement, if you didn't put an else or anything else, and you just left it like that, what would happen if you didn't get an A? Because the condition is if it's an A, if it's greater than 90. What if you went over here and you got 8 out of 10? What would happen? And I stopped it. What would happen if it's not an A? I don't have any other condition. And what would happen is you would get an error because letgrade is not defined. It's only defined if it's greater than 90. And then it declares it, or initializes it, or defines it. But if you don't do that, if the if is not met, then it'll never declare that variable, and you won't have that variable, and it'll come up with an error as undefined. So I just wanted to point that out. I noticed that as I was editing the video, and I just wanted to point that out to you, kind of what would happen if we didn't do that. And you're going to have another condition for elif, and this is going to be the b. So if elif is going to be score again, if score, now what's going to be b plus? It's going to be greater than equals, we could do the greater than equals 87. I think that's a b plus. We're going to use an operator called and. Now we're not going to use or, because or would mean one or the other, but this has to mean both. So if it's in between, you can't just say if it's greater than 87, because then that would be the same, it could be an A as well. So that could be just one condition, it can meet that condition. If it's a 90, it'll say, oh, it's greater than 87, it's an A. So we want to make sure it meets two conditions. So it's going to be two conditions with the end in here. So we're going to say greater than equal 87, and it's going to be, and then it's going to be less than 90. So it'll be, you could have an 87, 88, and that's it, really, and an 89. And it's going to be less than that. So anything less than a 90 will be a B plus. Now, one thing we have to do here, we have to put our colon. And one thing I always forget, and let's see, we have something here. We have a little line here. We have to put score again. I always forget this, but you have to put the variable again here. Even though you're using end, you think you could put them all together, and JavaScript does this as well, but we have to put this. So it's greater than equal to 87 and less than 90. Now, maybe it's better to go less than 90 here. I don't know what's better. Maybe it reads better to go less than 90 here and then put the higher value up here, because that way you're going from the 90 and then you're kind of working your way down, kind of in like a Z pattern. So I'll put the 87 here, and I think score is coming in as an int, so I think we're okay. And now what's going to happen? It's going to be letgrade, and we have letgrade right here, and we're going to assign that to a B plus. Now you see what we're doing here. So this isn't going to be that hard. It's just a lot of repetition. I don't know if there's a quicker way to do it necessarily. There probably is, but we'll work like this. So we're going to keep doing elifs until the end. So you could even copy this, because at this point, let's copy this and paste it and make sure this moves back out to the margin, and make sure we have a colon here. Now this one is going to be less than 87, and then it's going to be greater than equals 80. That'll be a B. So this will be the B. We'll take away that, and that was pretty easy. And let's copy this one, because this will work kind of the same way, because we're going to a C plus next. So we'll copy that top one, and we'll put that here. We'll backspace this so it goes back to the margin. And this elif, instead of, it's going to be less than 80, because it's going to be a C. So we'll make this 80. We'll use the one that's here. We're kind of going in a Z pattern here, going over there, over there, over there. So 80 is coming down here, and then this is going to be a C plus, and this is going to be 77, greater than equal to 77. So it's going to be between 77 and 79 really, and it's both conditions. And then we can copy the one from the B because it'll use the same kind of numbers, because this will be for the C, and this will be 77. So now it's easy to kind of follow. There we have the 77. That's actually, it's like an X pattern. These are being X'd here kind of. So 77 is going there, and then it's one less the other way. So this will be 70. So a C will be a 76 to 70, greater than or equal to 70. So if you get a 70, you get a C, and if you get a 76, which is less than 77. And this will be a C. And now we just have two more. We have a D. So we could use this one, I guess. There's no D plus. So this will just be less than 70. And if you get 60, so if you get 60, you get a D. So if you get 60 and you get a 69, 60 to 69 will be a D. So that's what we're doing there. And then finally, the last one can just be an else, because we don't have to put less than 60. It'll be anything else, because we already have greater than a 90 covered. So anything less than that. Now you could put a condition, you could put an elif, but we're going to finish it off and just put else and go back to the margin and just put else. That way we don't even have to put it. We could just put our colon there, so we don't have to put a condition after else. But then we still will put letter grade, so let me copy this one and I'll just put an F. So we're kind of covered here for everything, and let grade should go into there. So we have a statement that says you earned a score for this many assignments, which is a whatever, and it should show the letter grade there. So let's see if this works. I think my while loop was working, and remember, this is the one we could stop at any time and just put in end, so hopefully that still works. So let's try it out. Let's put in a 10 and a 9, and I'm going to end it here by using stop. I think that was our keyword to stop it. So this will be a 90, this should be an A. So let's see if that works. You earned a 90% for one assignment. So we have an issue there. We could use variables which change up assignments and which change up that. So if we only have one assignment, then we have an S there, which is a problem. So we could fix that. We could say if, we could do a condition. I don't know if I have to do it right now. We could do it in another one. But if the final assignment variable is 1, then we could change this word to assignment. Else, everything could be assignments. And same thing if it's a N, or an F. I guess if it was an A or an F, you can use the an word there, or the other ones you can use a word. And maybe I'll let you do that as a challenge. Maybe I'll let you figure that out, of how to do that, instead of me doing it, because I know sometimes you follow along and you do what I do, but that's the problem solving. You should be able to figure it out from everything we have here, and I'm already telling you that it's going to determine. You can make a variable in here, and it could be assignment or assignments, depending. So you could set the variable for whatever to be assignments and plug it in there, and this one could be A or N, and you could plug it in there depending on how many assignments there are and depending what the letter grade is. So you would have to do something after the letter grade so that you knew what the letter grade is. So that would have to be wherever the letter grade is determined. It would have to be after here, because this is where the letter grades are actually declared. So it would have to be after here. So if letter grade is an F or N, then something, this whatever variable you stick in here could be A or N, and then it could go in there. But anyway, let's work on this before we worry about that stuff. But that brings up an issue right there, because we wouldn't want to have it say one assignments, which is AA. I mean, that is, it's just bad English right there. So we don't want that. So that would be fixing the bad English. That would be a logic error, semantically, this doesn't sound right. But if we did 2 of these, let's try another one. Let's do it again. And this time I'll put 10 and a 10 and a 10 and an 8. That would be an 90. And let's try a 8 again. I don't know if we'll get to a B plus or not. Let's try 8 again. See if that gets us to a B plus. And I'll hit stop here. And 86.7, that didn't get us to a B plus. So I don't know if we did if a 9 there. Let's try 10, 9, 10, 8, 10, 7, 10, 6, and then stop it. And 75, which is a C. So that's working out. And if we just put 10, and we got a 0, and we stopped it, that should be an F, which is AF. So we'd have to one assignment, so we'd have to actually do a variable to change this word and change that word so that it make it variable. And that's the whole point in variable, so that it could change, and you could have assignment when you have 1, and you could have N when you have A or F. So maybe I'll leave that for your 6B challenge. Your challenge assignment is going to be try to make that so assignments and that letter change. And I'll make a video on it. I probably have one already, I think, of doing that, an older one that you could, if you need a hint with it, but maybe we'll try to do that on their own. So for this one, for 6, you're pretty much done. If you're getting it to work like this, you could try different things to make sure the plus things work, figure out what a plus is, or actually, here's an easy way to figure out the plus. See, I'm not really a math whiz, but what if we put in 100 and then I got a 77? That should be a C plus, right? All right, I'll put stop, and we get a C plus. So that's one way. That's one way to figure it out, and you can try out those as well. So anyway, once you're done with 6, that shouldn't have been that hard. I'm going to give you a challenge to try and change the assignment, so it actually makes good English. So that'll be your challenge for exercise 6 after that, so that the A in the assignments could be assignment single one when you have 1, and A can be N when you have an A or an F. So I'm already telling you what the conditions are. You just have to know where to put them, how to make the variables, and you should know enough about making variables already from watching the videos, because I'm going pretty slow here. So see if you could do that, and that will be a challenge assignment for 6 that I'll set up for you, and I'll put in coursework. So that's exercise 6. Hope you enjoyed that. That's Testscores Lettergrade. And then also check out in the How to Think Like a Computer Scientist textbook, chapter 7, because they go over some of these operators like and or, Boolean, and they talk about if and else and elif and all that stuff. So that's a good place to go over some of that too. So I'll assign that. I'll put that in the reading as well, but check that out as well. So I'll talk to you soon.